Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, excellent. I'm gonna just get a couple things set up here. Hello, hello. Ah,
Hello.
Susie, hello. How are you? I'm just gonna get a couple things set up really fast. I'm gonna turn on the recording. Yes. I am Elizabeth Porter and welcome. Let me just introduce myself quickly. I am the Director of Curriculum Instruction and International Programs at Bon Voyage World Languages Academy. And we are a fully online language school serving students in grades K through 12. So in France, for those who are in France, that is the grande section to terminale, and in England, I do not know, 5 years old to 18. So our classes are live with live teachers. I'm just going to give you a heads up here. We are having some issues with Zoom since Zoom has been used so much more. For some reason, our school account got looped in with all the free accounts that are being created, and sometimes it kicks us out at 40 minutes and sometimes it doesn't. So if it cuts us off at 40 minutes here and we're not done, just feel free to hit the link again and come right back in and we'll start over again. We are currently looking at switching over to Google Meet because it integrates so well with all of our systems at Bon Voyage, but I wasn't ready to use that quite yet. So let's get started. I had a lot of you say that you were not familiar with teaching online at all. Some of you are getting more familiar with it. So I'm just going to start by going over, if you have any questions for me, please feel free to unmute and yell at me and go, hey, I have a question. Feel free to interrupt me. So this is basically a crash course in online teaching. And I would like to talk to you a little bit about what I love about online teaching to begin. So first of all, I started Bon Voyage back in 2016. I was a curriculum specialist and I was also teaching French for about 15 years. And I made the decision that I didn't want to do what I was doing anymore. There were too many things that were restricting me in the public school system, and the biggest thing I wanted to do was travel with my kids. And when I say my kids, I'm talking about my students. I do have my own kids as well, but I also refer to my students as my kids. And I had been working with a program in France called Cavilam, which I'm sure Susie is very familiar with it. I'm there every summer. I am gonna miss it this summer so badly. And they did a phenomenal job, but my school district would not let me take my students to Cavilam anymore. And so I said, forget it. I want to do what I want to do. And I jumped in with both feet. I had no idea how to teach online. I'd never done it before. I didn't know what there was out there. So I got on Google Meet, which at the time was called Google Hangout. I stood up in front of the camera and I taught the way that I taught in front of my live brick and mortar classroom. And it worked. And the other thing that was holding me back was, like I said, I'm a curriculum specialist, and I had this idea about how I thought language should be taught, and I wasn't allowed to do that in the school district that I was working in. And so I just said, I want to do what I want to do. I want to teach the way I want to teach. And I did a lot of research. And I wrote a book, and here we are today with Bon Voyage. So I love the flexibility and the freedom. I can come to work in my pajamas if I want to, and I have. I don't actually teach students anymore in our school. I'm full admin now. So I can take my students on field trips, both virtually and sorry, one of my kids, it's all, you know, how many of you have your kids home right now? Lots of you. There's like, yeah, it's like a free-for-all at our house right now. So so I can take my students on field trips. When I am in France, we like I'll get on the camera. Like I was supposed to be in France right now. I am so sad. Like I was supposed to be flying over last night and arriving today. So, but usually like when I'm there, I go to France 3 times a year. And when I'm there, I will like say, hey, anybody who wants to go see the Musée d'Orsay today, or anybody who wants to do this, and we get on the camera and I'm there with my phone and explaining, and we go all around. We've done tours of Vichy, we've done all sorts of stuff. You can do virtual field trips pretty much anywhere. I take my students to the grocery store. You're like, what, a grocery store, really? Yep, I take my students to the grocery store, and I'll tell you why. Because think about how linguistically rich the grocery store is. I mean, seriously, everything's labeled. You can point at stuff. You can say, oh, look, I'm going to go down this aisle. I mean, it's amazing. My classrooms are completely automated. Now, you know, it takes a lot of time to set them up, but now I can reuse and just make little tweaks. I bring my dog to class. I get students from all over the world. My class sizes are small. And the classroom management piece is amazing. If I have a kid who is disrupting my class and I give them a warning, I just eject their camera and they cannot get back into the classroom. There's no worrying about a kid wandering down the hallway, because at that point, it's their parents' job to take care of the issue that they're having. So I really like that feature as well. I have some pretty funny stories to tell, which if we have time at the end, I'll tell you some stories about the things that have happened. So a few pointers for a successful online class. My classroom rules are: you come in muted so that you can hear what I'm saying unless I tell you to unmute. And you leave your camera on, because if your camera is off in my class with my students, I can't see what you're doing and I can't make sure that you're paying attention. So cameras off or cameras on is really important. Hi, oh bonjour. Hélène, yeah, she's like saying, oh boy, I better turn my camera on. I'm not telling you guys you have to, you teachers, but I'm just saying that. Do you have a question, Hélène? Do you have a question? Oh, okay, gotcha, all right. But if I can't see what my students are doing, this is not I get to sit down and watch a video. This is I am engaging in class right now, and if I can't see what you're doing, you're absent. So I make sure that I can see them. And I make sure that I set those ground rules ahead of time, and I make sure that the parents know what they're doing, that, you know, the students are doing, and we sit down together. Because also we've got parents that'll sit and drop their kids in front of the computer, and oh, they're in front of the computer and then they don't know what to do. So we make sure we go over those things with parents as well. All right, so I was going to start with setting up Google Classroom, but I think we're going to talk about Classkick first, because a lot of people have been asking about Classkick, and Classkick is hands down my #1 favorite go-to app to use with students. How many of you, hold your hand up over your camera if you know Classkick? Anybody? Okay, so all of you, well, some of you have your cameras off, but if you don't know Classkick, it is something you definitely should know. I was fortunate enough that when I started teaching online, Classkick was just starting as well. So I got the privilege of being able to be one of the first teachers to pilot Classkick, and they designed it initially for teachers to use in their classrooms. They hadn't even thought about putting it with online teachers. And so when I piloted it online, it was really fun, and they did a cute little ad, and I'll see if I can find it for you. But it works like a charm, and I use it with my iPad so I can write on my screen, but it can be used from anywhere, from any device. So you can, what you would do is, I'm going to have everybody go in, and you're going to go to, app.classkick.com, okay? app.classkick.com, and then I want you to please, when you get there, put in this code. Can everybody see that? app.classkick.com, and then put in that code. And what I also like about Classkick is that you can do this live with your students, or they can log in later and do the work on their own. The other thing is that it integrates really well with Google Classroom. So you can assign it to a class in Google Classroom and make an assignment out of it. So what we're going to do is once you're in there, I'll be able to see if you're here or not. So make sure that you put in your name. That's the other thing. Real names, please, because I had a student who would constantly put in some silly name. I think like one time it was like Dino Joe, you know, something silly like that. Blue the Raptor was one he would put in sometimes. So we need real names in there so I can see who's in there. Now, I'm going to show you the view that I see. I can see students who are here. So here's Laura, here's Liz, Marcy, Susie. Okay, so I can see, and I don't see Ellen yet. Are you having trouble, Ellen?
I don't have the code. Sorry, my computer was off.
Let me put it back in up here. Voila. Hélène and I have known each other for a long time. She and I used to work together at the French immersion school, and now she lives in Normandie. C'est toujours dans la Normandie, c'est ça?
I live in Saint-Quentin, near Paris.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay. All right. So, c'est bon maintenant? All right. So once you're in here, there are several different ways that I use Classkick. So the first way is as a whiteboard. And when I use it as a whiteboard, I just have a random white screen, okay? And Classkick is 100% free. They have a paid version, but I have never paid for I've never paid for it before ever. I have found that I can do everything that I need to do on the free version. And what I do is I assign what's called an assignment per class that I have, and I just add slides to it. So I can write on here and I can say, bonjour les amis. So is anybody here not a French teacher? I'm doing this in English just in case we have not French teachers in here. I think we have several different ones. I can write on this, I can explain things, I can do grammar, and all of my students can see in real time what I'm doing. Not only can they see it up on the screen, but you should be able to see me writing on your slide. If you go to slide 11, you should see what I wrote there. Okay? I can also write on your individual slides. So for example, if I want to offer my help to, let's see, Laura here, I can write on her slide, but nobody else can see what I wrote. Laura, what did I write on your slide? I don't see her. Okay. All right, well, Laura, I wrote hi on Laura's slide, and nobody else should be able to see that. You should not see hi on your slide. You should just see bonjour les amis, okay? Now, if, for example, I go to, I'm going to have you click on slide number, where were we? CI? Okay. I'm going to have you click on slide number 2. And on slide number 2, you should see draw a monster. Does everybody see this on slide number 2?
Yes.
Okay. So what I want you to do is I am going to, this is called a listen and respond activity in Comprehensible input. So what I want you to do is I'm going to tell you what to draw, and I want you to listen carefully. And I want you to draw on your screen what I'm telling you to draw. Now, you can either go up here and you can use the little drawing tools with your mouse. You can use your finger if you're on an iPad. You could use whatever. So I'm going to just tell you to draw something very simple. And I'm going to show you what I can do with this. And if you see something appear on your screen from me, I want you to raise your hand and tell me what it is, okay? All right, so the first thing is my monster has a big round head. My monster has a big round head. All right, I'm looking through here. My monster has a big round head. Oh, Liz, excellent. Très bien. You get a little prize because you did a good job. Oh, super. Oh, Susie. Oh, bravo. Oh, super. Attends, I didn't mean to do that. Voilà. Alors, Susie. Oh, voila. Did you get something? Are you saying what you're getting? You get a little prize. What did I put on there? I put an ibu. Très bien. So what I can do, I will show you what I was able to do. If you go up as a teacher on individual students and click this, it will give you some stickers. And you can click and, oops, hold on. You can add a new sticker to the students, okay? Or the students can also ask a question. Why is this doing that? Okay, so I can drag, come on. All right, well, it's not working on my computer for some reason, but I can drag a sticker. So for example, I can show you on Susie's, I gave her a little ibu right here. She had a sticker. D'accord? So you can go in and help. The other thing that you can do as a student is you can raise your hand and say, I need help. Please come and help me. And there's a little hand up in the corner, if you can see it, on your individual ones, and it shows you that it will come up on my screen on my iPad here, and I'll be able to see that you need help. Okay, does everybody see that little hand? It's like right up here. I need help. Okay, so I can see, please help. Liz wrote that she needed help. Susie needed help, and it tells me on which one you need help. So that's really awesome, because when you are in an online live with your students, you can have them do something and complete a task, and you can see exactly what they're doing and exactly what their response is. We use this at Bon Voyage all the time.
You're so mean.
One other thing that I wanted to show you is you can also make manipulative. So if everybody would go to slide 5, please, on your Classkick. These are all flashcards that I've made here, and this goes along with a song that has to do with cognates. And so I have put the video here because you can either have your students work on this on their own, where they would click there, and there's my beautiful smiling face singing to you, which can everybody see the video? Can you see the video? Everybody? Okay.
Cognate song with me.
And it goes,
Vous êtes prêts? On y va!
And then we sing it.
Répétez, répétez tous les mots en français. Avec moi, vous verrez, on va bien s'amuser. Une guitare, un taxi, un téléphone, un café.
Okay, so I'm not going to play the whole thing for you unless you want me to play it for you. But as we're going through, what I would do is we would sing this, répétez, répétez tous les mots en français, avec moi, vous verrez, on va bien s'amuser, and then we would say the word. And what I would have the students do in this is when they hear the word, they would move the word into the box. You can also do this just out loud like this. So would you please move un sandwich into the box? Mettez le sandwich dans la boîte, s'il vous plaît. And then I can hear I can see your work. So I can go through and I can be like, oh, who put le sandwich into the boîte? Oh, Shireen, bravo, super, tu as un hibou, voilà, bravo. Okay, oh, look, Hélène, oh, super, Hélène. Hélène doesn't speak French at all. She did a great Hélène is Québécoise living in France. She's the one who gets it the most. Okay, so you can check up on your students. You can speak and have them follow directions and move these around. You could do any type of manipulative activity, and the way that you do that is, if you want to create a manipulative activity, you would go into a blank slide. You would click this little thing right here, add manipulative. Then you would select a file from your computer. Can everybody see this pop-up? Sometimes they show pop-ups and sometimes they don't. Can you see the pop-up here that says add images? Oui ou non? Oui ou non? Oui? Okay. Merci. Okay, so it would ask you to select a file from your computer. You can select any type of file that you want. Okay, here's something from Cavilam that I have. Okay, and then you can just drag and next. Okay, and then you do an add another one, and then you make this, drag and next. Okay, and then you would put finish, and they would appear here, and then you could just move. Oh, only one went there, but you could just move, and then you could create a manipulatives activity. You can also do fill in the blank activities with your students. So, and I've actually never used the fill in the blank activities, but you could do it so that you ask a question, multiple choice question, and you know, they would answer, you know, B, and you can make amount of points to it, and it would go there. So you could ask a question, A, B, C, or D, students, and they would click, you know, on the correct answer. You can change the background. You can make it, you know, you can use a Venn diagram or different backgrounds. So you can have a lot of fun with Classkick. I really, this is number one, 100% my absolute favorite go-to program. I use it for everything. Oh, look, Hélène is putting in a bunny. Hélène, I want to show, can I show what you're doing, Hélène? So Hélène's messing with it here, and she is, I love this. So she just put in, where are you, Hélène? Scroll down, where are you? I don't see you on my list, right? On this list. You must be below. Anyway, she put in a little bunny there. And the other thing I use this for, the other thing I use this for is I use it for, you know, what I call phrase amusante. So I will write, for example, on the board, phrase amusante, you know. Yep, you have a question?
Yeah, please. Before you go any further, I have
Sure.
a question about the manipulatives.
Sure.
When I had a whiteboard 5, 6, 10 years ago, I don't even know how long it was, there was a way to have the box be generated by the whiteboard, and it would kick out wrong answers. So you could only put in certain objects. Is there a way to do that?
Not in Classkick, but that I know of. I just drew the box here. I mean, you could potentially, do it with a certain background. I'm not sure. I've never actually done that before. That's a great question. The biggest thing is that I, you know, mostly I just go through and I'm like, nope, try again, or, you know, we're doing this, you know, together as a class. So that's a great question. I'm really not sure. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that.
Maybe that's in the paid version.
It might be in the paid version. Was it in Classkick that it was doing that? That you were
No,
doing?
this was on a smart board in 2015.
In Classkick?
No, on
Oh,
a smart
different.
board.
Oh, on a smart board. Okay, all right. No, you know what? I don't, and maybe it is in the paid version. I will do some research and check that out for you. That's a great question. In fact, I'm gonna write that down.
Oh, merci beaucoup.
De rien. I'm actually in contact with the developer, the guy that owns Classkick, a lot because he asks a lot of questions of the people who use this pretty regularly as part of online learning. And so I'm just going to write that down, a box that kicks out the wrong answers. And I will ask him.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, thanks for
My
that.
other question.
Sure, go ahead.
You had a view that had all of our screens on it in columns, and you could see each of
This
our
one?
work.
Mhm.
That's the one. That's
Yep.
the one. Is there a way to save that view for documentation purposes?
So, oh shoot, it is going to try to kick us out in 10 minutes. So if we kick out, then come back, okay? Everybody. This will save as long as, so you can see that there are students that were in here that aren't in here anymore. So you can always see students' work. Like this person was in here from a previous webinar, and you will always be able to see who was in here until you delete it yourself.
Okay.
So, a student could go in and work on something even when you're not in a live class, and you will be able to see what they did. Another example of that is, for example, I have a class here that the student worked on. He didn't do this one, but we had the kids working on stuff, and I can see what he did. Oops, that was a sign. So here's the kid that did the work here when he and I can still see it, but he's not here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. Then, so going back to the phrase amusante. So I might write, it depends on the level of the student. I might say, for example, hold on just a second. I'm going to go back here and go back into what I was doing here. So this is a listen and draw. So I might say the dog and the frog eat pizza while watching TV. Okay, the dog and the frog eat pizza while watching TV. And then the students will go in and make a drawing of what I said. And I can go in and see what they're doing. And they don't have to have, spectacular looking drawings or anything by any means. That we always joke about how Madame Porter is a terrible artist. And so, yeah. I see your hand, Hélène. And do you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I was just wondering because I see you in a little square, a little video, but I don't see the other participant with the camera. But with the kids, the other kids can see the other kids? Do you know what I mean?
If I'm not sharing my screen, they can.
Mm-hmm.
If I am sharing my screen, then they can't. Does that make sense? So I can change the view also. So you can see all of the students, but if you are at all times, but if you are sharing your screen with the students, they will only be able to see you.
Okay. When you mean you're sharing your screen, it's because when you're sharing
Alors, regarde.
that screen?
Je vais expliquer. Alors, regarde, tu vois tout le monde là?
Non.
Non?
Je vois toi et moi.
Ah, d'accord. Okay. So you can change the view of your screen, of what you see and what the students see. There's like a little thing that says view, speaker view. So I can change it so I can just see you and I can just see me, or I can see everyone.
So am I the one changing it, or it's
Yes,
you?
that's you. I can change it for
Okay.
what I see, but you can only change it for what you see.
Okay, I don't know how to do that, but that's okay. But it's something possible then.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so it's saying we have 5 minutes before it kicks us out. So just so that everybody knows, I'm getting frustrated with Zoom because usually it's not supposed to do that. I don't know why it is, but okay. So I would say that, and then they would draw a picture of what I said, or if it's a more advanced group of students, because I typically don't have them read stuff, like a lot of stuff, until at least a semester in. So I might say the dog and the frog eat pizza while watching TV. And then they would draw the dog and the frog eat pizza while watching TV, and I can go through and see, okay, they understood this part, but not this part. And I used to do this with actual whiteboards in a classroom by holding them up. With, you know, if you use those little whiteboards or little chalkboards and have them read it, you know, say and respond. And I can do, you know, video talks and all of that stuff right here in Classkick. So that is Classkick. I want to go ahead. Yeah.
Just whether you find it easier as a teacher to do it on an iPad, or if it's just as practical to do it from a Mac or just a regular desktop computer.
So for me, what I find much easier is if I can project my screen from the computer and then write on my iPad. So it's basically connected. So I'm logged into the same screen on my iPad and I write on it, and then I'm projecting it from my computer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I find that much easier, but some, you know, it just depends on what you have. I would say the number one piece of two pieces of hardware to have are a computer and an iPad, and an Apple Pencil. But if you don't have that, then you can definitely do it from just directly from your computer screen as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we are going to go now, and I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I had some people asking me about choice boards. And I wanted to talk about GimKit, and I really wanted to talk about Google Classroom. So I just want to go over those two things really quickly. Google Classroom is free for everyone. It's paperless. It's great for organizing topics and keeping track of your students' work. I use it in conjunction with Classkick all the time. We used Canvas for a while at Bon Voyage, and let's just say they did us wrong, like big time. So we switched from Canvas to Google Classroom, and I find it much more user-friendly. It doesn't have as many features as Canvas, but it works great. And like I said, it is free for everyone. We have GSuite for education here at Bon Voyage, but it works with any Google account. So I love Google Classroom. The other one is GimKit. It's a really super duper fun game. It's kind of like Kahoot, but kids can actually like help each other and take points away and knock each other back and help boost each other, and that's a really fun one too. So if we have some time, I'll play that one with you. But we had a lot of questions about choice boards. So I want to talk to you a little bit about choice boards. Do many of you use choice boards at all? Have you started using those? Some of you have cameras off, so I'm not sure. It's gonna kick us out in less than a minute, just so you know. So just come back in, don't worry, just click the link and it should bring you right back in here, and I'll start recording again, and then I'll put the two parts together. So this one is one that I did on Mi Grand Voyage, and this one is an A2.2 or B1. This would be an American third year, approximately. And so I have different choices here, and what I did was there is a link that goes to a Google form where they can respond to all of the questions that are on, or the choices that are on the choice board. There's a lot of different things that you can do with a choice board. You can do it where I make the middle one required, and then they have to make a bingo, so they can either go diagonally or straight down or straight across, so vertically or horizontally, diagonally, and it has to include the middle one. So they have to pick 2 other activities to make that bingo. So when they do that, they do all of their answers. They would click, and here is our Google form, and this is called Boîte à Son. And what this is this is actually from our curriculum. We use Décibel, which is for our middle school, high school, from Édition Didier. We don't use any American published curriculum at Bon Voyage at all. Susie's laughing. We're all back. Excellent. Almost. I'll wait till we're all back. Not everybody's back yet. Oh, there we go. All right, almost. Are we all the way back? Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. Zoom, like I said, is being weird. I don't know why it's doing that, but let me go back and share. So I was here. My dog is upstairs howling because he's all by himself. I'm sure he's so super sad. Poor Oscar. Okay, so this is called a boîte à son. Like I said, we use Édition Didier, we use Décibel, and they have these little poems in there where they help with pronunciation. So they pick certain sounds, and then there is an audio file that goes with that. And so the students are repeating things, and I love these because they're repeating them at different cadence, different speed, different rhythms. And so this is one thing that they do in the choice board. And then the next one is I put a video of Black M Je suis chez moi with this with an activity in the Google Drive that I did, and they put all of their answers into the Google form, and I set the Google form up so that they add their files right into the Google form. Here's a response, devinette. Of course, I had to put Maître Gims in there because he's like my favorite of all time. I met him in November in Quebec. Hélène, I was in your hometown. And he was like, I was so excited. Anyway, so so we have a devinette there, and so they would respond all in here. The awesome thing about this is you can either set it to autocorrect, or you can come in and correct it yourself really quickly if you have, if you kind of know exactly what the answers are going to be. Some of them are, you know, write something, and so you're going to be correcting it, all of that, but you have it all in one place. And what happens is, let me show you what happens when you put them into when you put them, it generates folders for each of those responses that they're going to upload. So for example, if you go into the choice boards and you see here, Mes Grands Voyages, right? It has folders for each of the responses where they have to upload their work. And so you can go in here and here's all the responses. Obviously there's nothing in here now, but here's all the responses for the kids who answered that one question all in one place, right there for you. So it's super easy to organize and find all of this stuff. The other thing about this is when you do this in Google Slides, you can automatically assign this into the Google Classroom. So that's really, really nice to be able to do. How many of you are familiar with Google Classroom already? Sort of? Okay. So Google Classroom, like I said, I love it. And what is you would do is you would go to classroom.google.com and you would go into setting up. So this is a test class right here. And I set it up so that, let me show you an actual class I have. This is a French class that I'm teaching right now. That's not it, that's math. There we go. I hope you can't hear my dog. He's so, the poor thing, he's like, I want out, I want out. So here are all these activities. Now, did you know that those of you who are French teachers that Cavilam is having live classes right now that you can go in and join? So we have all of those in there, and then we have it, I have these as like our thematic units. So I have this organized as the thematic unit, and you can grade stuff in here and they can pull their grades right away. They can see what they're missing. They can see what they've turned in. You can assign certain things to certain kids, or you can assign them to the whole class. And it integrates really, really well with Classkick. So I can assign something directly from Classkick. And for example, if I want to assign my class this choice board, all I would do is I would go in to classwork, create, assignment. I would name it choice board. And then I would go in and add it from the Google Drive. And it should pop up just right there. Here it is, Mes Grands Voyages. And there it is there. And then they can access it straight from there. I can give it a point value. I can assign it to multiple classes. So if I have multiple classes of the same section, I can assign it to several classes at once. I can pick which students get it assigned. So they could do, you know, all of the students, or I could just assign it to this student if I wanted to, or these two students. If they needed extra help, I can make it have a due date. I can put it into a certain topic, and I can even create a rubric. There's one more thing that Google Classroom does that's really cool. Like if you're asking your students to write something and you want to make sure that they aren't copying from, say, Google Translate or another website, you can create Originality Reports, and it will make sure that it searches the internet for anything that might be not original work, which I really like. So Google Classroom is definitely my go-to for learning management systems. I know some of you were asking me about Class Dojo or Seesaw or some of those. I gotta be honest, my kid's school uses Class Dojo and I hate it. It's not good, and I don't like it because it's not organized. You cannot put it in an as far as I can see, you can't organize it by, you know, the different topics. It's really hard because when your class is in there, you can see there's no real clear, like, I'm communicating with this person only. Like, I don't know if I'm putting in a note to the kid's teacher and it's to the teacher or to the entire class. It's really not clear to me. And also I find it's better for elementary aged kids because they put the behavior stuff in it too. So I'm not a huge fan of Class Dojo. And you know, here you can add their parents. It's really easy to add the students. You can do it yourself, or you can have it generate a code and they come in. And the new thing that they've done now with Google Classroom is you can make it so that it generates a Meet class for just that class. Because before the students could join the class after the teacher was gone. Now with this, the teacher actually has to be there. You can set how grades are weighted. I mean, it's really, really a good system, and I really like what Google has done with it, and I'm really glad it's free for everyone. You don't pay for it ever. So, and you don't have an upgrade to pay or anything like that. What it is there, and that's what's free. So anyway, are there any questions so far? I've gone over a lot of stuff really quickly, I know. Go ahead.
When you talk about all those websites, are they working together, or you work with that or the other?
You can pick and choose, but a lot of these ones that I've picked are ones that that do work nicely together if you choose to use them together. So you don't have to use one with the other, but you can.
Okay. Yeah.
I will say that the GSuite works together with Google Classroom, works together with the different apps that Google has. So typically if you have a GSuite, if you have a Gmail account, you can access all the apps they have, the docs, the slides, the spreadsheets that they have. I think it's called Sheets. You can access Google Meet. Google Suite is meant to work together with each other, but you can also use them with other things as well. It integrates well with Canvas. It integrates with other, I think, Seesaw. Class Dojo, not so much. I'm sorry, Susie. I know your school is using Dojo, but
yeah, one of my schools is using Google Classroom and the other one's using Class Dojo, but I haven't yet had my teacher invitations, so I haven't been able to have a play around. But
yeah.
You were saying earlier that it's more appropriate for kind of younger learners, and the children that I teach there are actually between the ages of 6 and 10. So yeah. I think in a sense probably the fact that it is quite basic and that you can't do all of the things that you can do in Google Classroom, it might actually be a good thing. So I'll have to compare and contrast, but it's been really, really helpful. Like I've really enjoyed the idea of the choice boards is great. That's already given me lots of food for thought. And yeah. And I think, as you say, sort of integrating that with the other resources, it looks fairly straightforward, which is great.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff to like kind of process. I mean, this is definitely a learning curve, you know, to go from teaching in a brick and mortar classroom to teaching online. But, you know, I found I actually like it better because I find that there are a lot of things that I can do online that I can't do in my regular brick and mortar classroom. I can cook with my students, for example, whereas I can't cook with my student. I mean, I could, but I'd have to reserve the foods lab, or I'd have to do something that didn't involve like actually using a stove or something like that, or I'd have to get permission to do something. Whereas I just take my computer into my kitchen, I tell the students what to buy for the ingredients and tell them this is what we're gonna make. And we sit there and it's so linguistically rich because they're following along with me. I make cooking videos that they can use and follow. So there's lots and lots of things that you can do. Like we're learning about the house vocabulary. So I take them on a tour of my house, or we walk around the neighborhood, or we do a scavenger hunt. I mean, there's so many things that you can do online that I wasn't able to do in the past. And, you know, there are a few things like playing pétanque that we can't do in person, but, you know, I find that for everything that I couldn't do in this regular school system that I can do here, it's way, way more worth it for me to be able to have this. And I've got students from all over the country and all over the world, which is amazing. So does anyone have any other questions? I wanted to go over GimKit just a little bit, but I'm not sure if we're kind of running out of time here, and I don't think we have a lot of time for GimKit. It's really cool though. How many of you have used Kahoot before? Or okay, so it's kind of like Kahoot, but again, it was designed by a high school student, and it was like a senior project or something. And now it's awesome because basically you can they compete for virtual money. So you can set it so that it's like euros or, you know, whatever currency. There's tons of currency on there. And then they can buy like power-ups, or they can knock each other out, and it's great because what you do is just like you would join Kahoot, but the kids are really like interacting. They can ask for help from another student. So GimKit is a really, really fun one. And then here, I just wanted to make sure I had time to answer people's questions, because people asked questions when they registered. So I think I've given you a ton of ideas for engaging activities. Is there a French curriculum that's already created that you can use and purchase and customize? The answer is yes. I designed a whole bunch of stuff that's on my website that you can go look, and I will send that there. I talked about Class Dojo, how to have students write on a PDF and send it back without printing. Classkick, definitely. Classkick is useful for that. How to address each competency without Google Translate. I think that I went over that pretty much as well. If I didn't, let me know. How to teach young children online. Those of you who teach young children, keep it short, keep it sweet, keep changing activities, things that are really, really easy for kids to follow, lots of getting up and dancing and moving and clapping and all of that, lots of songs, stories, etc. So does anyone have any other questions? No?
No, that's great.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I did record these, so I will put them together into one video and I will post them for anybody who missed. Thank you so much for attending. And if you have other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, wherever you are.
It's bedtime here.
Merci. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.